Last month, we told you about the potential for widespread fraud in the SBA disaster loan program. We even spoke with the Sioux Falls business owner whose identity was stolen to obtain a $150,000 loan.
Our investigative team has been combing through the SBA data and has uncovered that it's far from an isolated case. In
tonight's KELOLAND News investigation, Angela Kennecke exposes fake farms all across the state. They used identities of real people in KELOLAND to get away with your tax dollars.
The Small Business Administration's emergency injury disaster loans, or EIDL for short, went to nearly 8,000 businesses for a total of $463.5 million. According to the SBA's own Inspector General, there appears to be rampant fraud in the program, adding up to billions of dollars. KELOLAND Investigates extrapolated the list of South Dakota borrowers and were shocked by the blatant fraud we easily unveiled.
So is this Beth MB Potato Farm?
No.
No potato farm here?
No potato farm here.
Augustana professor Beth Boyens is not growing potatoes at her Sioux Falls McKinnon Park home. But according to SBA data, someone took out a loan for $42,700 using her name and address.
When you first contacted me about it, I just thought, at first it was sort of comical. Like, I grew up in Minneapolis and Sioux Falls. Like, I know nothing about farming, and I'm an English teacher. But wait, this could be serious, right? Because somebody has used my name and address to obtain money.
When the Boyens called the SBA to report the fraud, they found out their name and address had also been fraudulently used to obtain another loan for a phony tomato farm as well.
It feels like a violation, right, to have your name and address used for something that is fraudulent.
KELOLAND Investigates searched the nearly 8,000 entries and found plenty of hot potatoes, cases of fraud connected to both potato and tomato farms, and more. In addition to another Augustana professor's name and address being used to obtain a $42,900 loan for a fake potato farm, we also found a group of Black Hills State professors whose identities were used for loans on farms they don't have. Biology professor Shane Sarver's name and address were used for a $42,700 loan for Shane KS Tomatoes.
In the past, I've had a small personal garden, but no, I don't grow tomatoes.
Sarver had no idea of the fraud until we contacted him.
I thought it was a big joke, but then I Googled your name and saw that you were a legitimate, reporter. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bizarre.
Sarver wonders if recent big data breaches could be the reason his personal information fell into the wrong hands.
It's hard for me to comprehend how this could happen. I mean, it's so obvious that I'm not a tomato farmer, and there's nothing that you could find that would indicate I'm a tomato farmer.
In all, KELOLAND Investigates narrowed down the list of borrowers with only the word farm in the name and found dozens of cases of fraud by locating the people who lived at the addresses, who in turn confirmed they did not have farms. Our investigation uncovered at least 29 cases of fraud, mostly fake farms, equaling more than $1 million.
The fake farms were not on farmland at all, like the dairy farm listed at the corner of 49th Street and Louise Avenue. The dairy farm supposedly in this strip mall got a $31,000 SBA disaster loan.
As you can see around, this is my acreage right here, my house, and we live right next to the river. So if this is the farm, this is all I've got.
Jeff Pokup is a pure print shop owner, not a farmer. Yet the Pokup farm at his address got an $8,300 SBA disaster loan.
So much money was thrown at this Corona deal that to me it would have been easy for SBA to just check, pull up my name, which they probably have better access to information than I do, and just say, well, he doesn't own any acreage, any farms or anything, so why would he be applying for a loan?
We asked South Dakota SBA Director Jamie Wood about the amount of fraud in the EIDL program.
There's more good in this program than the fraud that's taking place. The fraud's minimal.
It's still a lot of money in fraud.
Well, even one case we take seriously, and we're very concerned, even one case.
The SBA is asking people to report it if they discover their name and address have been used fraudulently to obtain a disaster loan.
I am not a farmer. No.
Attorney Brendan Dix contacted the SBA after he got notice that he would need to start paying back a $9,900 loan for Dix Farm at his southwestern Sioux Falls home.
They had said, oh, don't worry, the funds were never distributed, so we won't be seeking payments from you.
Despite that, Dix has still received several notices that payment is coming due.
Dealing with the government, how long is this going to take? What kind of boondoggle have they got with any of this? Why was this ever approved? Didn't apply for it. I thought they should be able to take that off their books pretty quickly, but apparently not.
And it's not only phony farms that are part of the scheme. KELOLAND Investigates also discovered a fraudulent loan of $43,000 in the name of a Sioux Falls School Board member, Todd Tolke. In that case, and nearly all that we found, the victim, whose identity was stolen, was in the dark.
And I'm appreciative. I wouldn't have known that this happened to me if you had not done the story and contacted me. So I think, I just want to say I thank you for that.
KELOLAND News has compiled all of the data on the more than $463 million in these SBA emergency injury disaster loans given out in South Dakota. While we narrowed our search to farms and found a few others along the way, anyone potentially could be a victim. You can cross-check your address to see if your identity has been compromised. We've also put the SBA contact information on how to report fraud cases on this story on KELOLAND.com.